The Muny in Forest Park.
So Megan, you've been with the Muny now 3 seasons. This is your first full-time full season this year. And you are servicing, let's see if I'm correct here, as our first ever resident casting director. Woohoo! I got that one right. So what are the responsibilities of casting director?
My responsibility is sort of the opposite of Tracy's. So my job is to find all of the actors that perform on the stage, and from adults to children in all the principal and ensemble roles. And then I work with Nancy Sherwin, who's the director of our youth department, who handles all the Muny kids and teens, and I sort of consult with her, and then she works her magic and fills in the rest of the company with all those amazing kids. And then I also sort of work with Mike Isaacson on some of the director and creative hiring. Mostly he does it, and I go, that's an awesome idea. I love him. That's mostly how it works.
Now, you've worked in casting for theater, film, TV, web blogs, or web series. Webisodes on the interwebs.
Yeah.
What's your background? How did you get into theater?
I was a kid who talked too much, who needed an outlet to harness all my energy, and got stuck in a theater show when I was 5, and that changed the rest of my life. And so I performed, and I went to Performing Arts High School for musical theater, and I got into stage management, and I found out that I was much better at bossing people around and organizing them. And then that kind of set my path, and ended up in New York and did an internship in casting and really loved it, and did that for a long time. And then took a segue into producing, which is how I met Mike. And then when he got this gig, he was like, I have to cast all of these shows. You have to help me. And I was like, okay, that sounds great. And then the first time I came out here to the Muny, I thought it was the most incredible, special place that I'd been in my theater career, honestly. There's such a sense of community here, even within everyone that works here, that I'd never experienced before. And so when the opportunity arose for my husband and I to leave New York, Mike was like, would you ever come out here? And I was like, yeah, I think that'd be pretty swell. And so luckily he offered me a position, and he and Denny said, come, and I came.
And we are very glad you're here. So I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Tracy, which is, what's your biggest challenge this season, and what's been the most fun?
My biggest challenge. I would say my biggest challenge this season is always the biggest challenge, but a little bit different, only because the first 2 seasons I was in New York casting. And so once we sort of got into the rhythm of the season, I was kind of done, and Mike sort of dealt with everything from here. But now that I'm here all the time, when people leave before they're supposed to start rehearsal. So we're summer theater. We're awesome summer theater. We're one of the best summer theaters there are, but we're still only a 3-week job for all these performers. So what's great about the Muny is that we get all these incredible up-and-coming talented performers that are all in college or just graduating from college or in their early 20s, and they're all like the cream of the crop generation of Broadway kids. And the problem is they all get hired by Broadway. And so I'm trying to like hope that they get a job, but not why I have them on contract. And I'm not always lucky like that. So, 2 days before we started rehearsal for Tarzan, we lost someone. I've lost someone this summer to the Book of Mormon national tour, to the Lion King on Broadway, to Beautiful the musical, like to all of these shows, and to Pippin. I lost, a principal right before we were supposed to start rehearsal. So it's really challenging to have to suddenly go, oh my God, what are we going to do? We got to get someone here right now. And I also need them to be as good as or better than the person that we just lost, because it's really important to me that the quality of our company is always at its highest level. So that would be the most challenging thing. The most fun. Ooh. I'm trying to. Suddenly, this season's a blur. I'm like, what shows did we cast this season? I think the most fun was putting together the Billy Elliot kids that we cast locally. it's such a crazy show, and so many of the people that did the company had done Billy Elliot in some form or fashion, just because it was a bear of a show and it wasn't something that we could just totally cast from scratch. So we had to put this company together, and it was still challenging because they were from like 5 different versions of Billy Elliot. So they all were like, but in Toronto, I went over here. And you're like, well, we're not in Toronto anymore. But the kids were all, other than Billy, were all local from St. Louis. And it was really exciting to get to sort of dive into the pool and find not only kids that are wonderful and talented in our ensembles, but be able to find kids that were ready to be featured, and kids like Michael Harp who were ready to take the step to the next level and carry a number. And Michael Harp had an incredible season. I mean, he killed it for me. He was our Pugsley, he was Michael and Billy, and I was sort of like, who are you? You are special. So I always like doing stuff with the kids.